Welcome to the Anything But Average podcast, where I will teach you how to create a coaching business one step at a time. I'm Lindsay Mango, a life coach passionate about helping you create the life of your wildest dreams by creating a coaching business. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another week and another episode of Anything But Average. Guys, how are you? I am so excited because I have a brilliant student of mine on for an interview. And you guys know I don't do lots of interviews. So if I'm bringing someone on, they have done amazing work in their business and their life and in our work together. And so I wanted to introduce Chelsea Wright, a life coach and personal stylist who helps women feel confident in who they are, what they wear, and what they want. So good. Welcome, Chelsea. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm so excited to be on the show. Thank you, Lindsay.
You are welcome. It's so fun. Like when I hear life coach and personal stylist, I feel like that is the most fun thing to do ever. Do you just love it?
Yeah, I do love it because I feel like I am working in women in such a way that is like, just, it's so impactful. It's a little bougie. I always give that disclaimer, like, yeah, we're shopping and whatnot, but we're also like looking at your life and looking at, where there's maybe some dissatisfaction and dissatisfaction. Oh my gosh, dissatisfaction. And
I make up words all the time. It's fine. We're good.
I do too. When you become an entrepreneur, it just happens. There's no way around it. But yeah, it's like helping women in such an intimate way where you really just give them leeway to be in control of what they want. And it's so empowering for me, but it's so much more empowering for them. And I've been on the receiving end of coaching. I haven't been on the receiving end of styling, but I know the impact. I know the impact of style and the doors it's opened for me and like the impact that it's had on my life and just how it's been able to make me feel and how it's been able to help me carry myself through life. And so this work is incredible. I mean, I wouldn't trade this for anything.
Ah, that's so good. I love hearing that. Before we jump into the questions, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but one of my biggest transformations when I first started this work, I mean, I'm really into style too, and I love bougie.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life where I was kind of like stuck and, not really showing up as the woman I wanted to be because I was just kind of on autopilot. And I remember, I'll never forget, I had just like hired a coach and I like looked down at my outfit that day and I was at my job or I think I was reading a personal growth book and I was like, what is happening? Because I swear I just rolled out of bed, which is so funny to say now. I can't even imagine doing this at a job, much less I dress up at home, right? Like when I work.
Yeah.
I rolled out of bed. My hair is like a crazy mess. I threw on these like boots that didn't even match. I have this like weird skirt on and like it just doesn't even look good. And I'm like, I realized that the only reason I was getting dressed that way was because I had to dress in business professional clothes and I wasn't doing it for me. And so one of the biggest transformations I had was actually first in my like style and like dressing myself for me and in a way that made me feel really empowered.
Yeah.
So I just so deeply believe I believe in all the work my students do, but I just felt such a profound impact on myself and how I showed up and how I carried myself. And clothing and style is a reflection of your inner world. It all is so tied together. So I think it's so cool how you incorporate life coaching and personal style all together in one, because I know it made an impact on me.
Yeah, it's so funny to hear you say that because I remember when I first found you, and it was actually through someone else's podcast like 2-ish years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And I thought you were so stylish. And I no, truly. And I thought, I love how she talks about how she puts herself together so that she can embody like $1 million entrepreneur Lindsay. Like, I love that she talks about this. And I even shared something you put on your story once where you were saying that, like dressing like the version of me that I want to become, or dressing like the next version of me that's making, $1 million+ a year. I'm like, yes, like, because that was like my messaging at the time. It's like, dress for the woman you want to be. And it's so true that like dressing yourself in a way that represents like who you are and like just what you want for yourself, like it allows you to step into that faster because it's all about embodiment and it's also about permission to put yourself in that place. And when you know, when you take the time to take care of your appearance, your energy shifts so much. I mean, I watch my clients when I'm in the fitting room with them, I watch them put something on that they love. And I mean, you, I don't even have to say anything. I
I
just
have
look at
chills.
them. I know I have chills too. I just look at them and I watch how like they look at themselves and they just they feel so good. And it's like I've changed their whole world and their whole perspective of themselves just because I put them in an outfit that actually fits, that actually they like, and that feels like true to them and true to the style that they want to create. I mean, it's like, you know, a lot of people would say that working with a stylist, you know, it's superficial. It's, you know, something that only the celebrities need and this and that. But truly, like, it's not even so much about me helping women look good, but more so about helping them feel their best.
Oh, so good. I have chills. Okay, so this is where you are now. This is what you're doing for women now. But I want to take it back to the beginning of your journey in, you know, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a stylist first, and then adding in coaching. Like, where did this all begin?
Okay, so let's take this back, 3.5 years, maybe more like 3 years. I can't do the math, but it was like September 2018. I was working in my insurance job full time, 9 to 5. And I was trying to figure out what I really wanted to do for me. I was actually in an MBA program that I didn't want to be in. I was doing it because my parents told me it was a good idea to do because my job was going to pay for it. And so I was like 1 or 2 classes in, and I thought, I am going to start a fashion blog because I really like style. And this is just going to be something that I do that I can enjoy because everything right now in my life is about working and doing and performing. And like, I just want something that feels good to me, that I can just thrive in and not have any expectations from. So I started this fashion page on Instagram. And I was just like talking about different pieces in my closet, how to style them for summer and, you know, where they're from. And I remember doing a little photo shoot with one of my friends who is a photographer. And I remember it being just like my whole world had changed. Like I had this like epiphany, like this is it. Like this is what I want to be doing. And then I'm telling you, like a few months later, I was so caught up in my schoolwork and I kind of had put the Instagram page, I kind of had let it fall down by the wayside because I was so busy with work and school. And I remember being in my kitchen. Well, not my kitchen. I was at my parents' house, being in their kitchen, and my godmom was in town, and I was just chatting with my mom and my godmom about, you know, what all I had going on with work and school and, you know, with my Instagram stuff, and thinking about how I would love to change careers. Like, yeah, I know I'm getting an MBA right now, and like everything is like set up perfectly. I'm like the poster child, you know,
the boxes are all checked.
Yeah,
right?
the boxes
like you're
are all
doing
checked.
It all
like,
right.
right. Like no debt, got my 9 to 5, got my MBA going. Like, yeah, I'm doing all of this, but also I'm thinking about quitting my job altogether and doing a job in fashion. And I'm telling you, like literally the idea popped in my head right then and there that I wanted to become a stylist. And I I didn't know any personal stylists. I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I was like, I know this probably sounds crazy, but I really think this could work. And, you know, maybe I don't become full-time personal stylist just yet, but I do it on the side and just, just kind of dabble in this because this feels exciting to me. I love fashion. I love working with people, and to mesh the two together, like that sounds like the perfect career for me. And I remember, my mom being very honest with me about what she thought of that. And of course she said, that sounds great, but just, don't let your job go. That's supporting you. And maybe once you get married, you can actually think about doing that full time.
Mm-hmm. So good.
And I will never forget her telling me this. And at the time I was kind of insulted that she would say that. And, now I look back and I think that is actually the way a lot of, women think, not just even moms, but women. It's like, well, once I have the husband to support me, I can actually do what I want. And side note, Lindsay, like I actually had that thought myself that, well, okay, maybe she is right that I should just wait until I have a husband who has a stable job who can just take care of me and I can do what I want and I won't have to like figure all of this out on my own. But me being sort of the rebel that I am, and this is why I was so, I guess, pulled to you because like I heard you talking about kind of this same thing on a podcast of like you were talking about how you viewed your job as like an investor in your business. I had to keep that mentality myself because like I was ready at one point to just up and quit and I had like 2 clients.
Yes.
and I was like, you know what, I can make this work. I got savings. Like I can just I'm ready to just try it. I'm ready to just quit. And so I did. I quit my job like after having made like I'm telling you like no more than $3,000 in my business. And I was just going to figure it out. And I was like, I'm going to move to LA and, just live off my savings as long as I need to. And, I think there's more of a market out there for this. And so that was going to be the plan to move out to LA jobless and build my styling business. Well, my parents were not into that, of course. And I had no support. And so I just, I would think about it and just thinking about how I could make it work. And I was looking at apartments and the rent in LA and I thought there is no way I can make that work.
Yeah.
So long story short, I ended up getting my job back and asking for relocation out to Orange County. And I felt like a dog with my tail between my legs asking for my job back. I felt like such an idiot. I kind of felt like, they were probably like, yeah, told you so. Like, because I told them what I was doing. I told them that I was doing styling and I was taking it full time. And of course they supported me, but I'm sure they had doubts. Like, what is this girl? Who does she think she is? She's just going to go like build a styling business in LA and, be successful. And like, of course, me like being naive about it, I just believed that it could happen. But I ended up going back to work, put in a year, and I quit again last year in the middle of the pandemic. And I hired a life coach, a one-on-one life coach in, let's see, July of last year. And we worked together for 6 months and we met weekly for an hour. And I didn't know what to expect from this journey of working with a life coach. I just knew I needed some help beyond like the business coaching that I was getting and, being in like a mastermind group with other stylists. There was just other stuff in my life that I needed help with, like when it came to my relationships with my family and like just kind of my belief in myself. And I didn't even know this at the time, but I struggled a lot with feeling good enough. And I had so much coaching around this that I realized like why I wasn't really making money last year. And a lot of it had to do with just me feeling like I wasn't good enough. And like, when I have that thought, I'm not good enough, to sign clients or to have my own thriving business, like that was showing up in my results. Like I wasn't really signing clients.
Yeah.
And things changed in December of 2020. I was so impacted by my life coach and the coaching she gave me that I decided I wanted to add life coaching to my styling business. And I ran the idea past her. She loved it. I remember I attended your one of your workshops, one of your master classes, and I think I didn't sign up right away, but I had followed you for like well over a year, and I just always loved your take on like, living life to the fullest, never settling, going after what you really want, and like not just not falling into society's standard of what is right and like what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I signed up for Anything But Average in January of 2021. And it's so funny because that weekend that I signed up on a Sunday. I was sitting on the couch journaling, and I didn't really have a plan to sign up. Something in me was like, I'm ready to join Lindsay's program. Like, I need this. It was perfectly geared toward what I was getting ready to do with, adding life coaching to my business. And I also wanted to get in on your marketing, or what was it? 15 days to sign your first client. I was like, I need to get in that. I need my first life coaching client. And so I signed up for Anything But Average. I got my first official life coaching client, I think definitely within 2 weeks, because I signed her up in that 15 days to your first client, but I was like a few days, I signed up a few days into that. So I signed up my first life coaching client within a couple weeks of joining Anything But Average. And I remember just being like so sure one day that I was going to get a client that day. It was weird. It was like, I just knew within that like someone was coming. And ironically, it was one of my good friends, but it was perfect because not that she was like looking for a life coach, but she just had a lot going on where she needed someone to talk to. And so we decided that we were going to coach, and I was going to support her, in a paid life coaching capacity.
Oh, good.
So
2 weeks. What?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Do you have more to add? Because I want to take it back really quick because I have a couple questions about your journey. So good.
Yeah. Ask away.
Love it. So when you first of all, that is amazing. And it's so funny. I remember your name popping up like when you enrolled, and I was so excited. And then you joined and you just signed a client 2 weeks in. I'm like, who is this girl? So good. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to when you first had this idea of, I want to be a stylist, and your family wasn't really on board with it, and you quit your job and then you went back, but you kept going, right? Like, even though you had some doubt and you were kind of offended by their thoughts about your goal and dream, you still stayed committed to it. What helped you through that? Because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, is they look to their family, they look to their spouse, they look to the support of other people to believe in their own dreams. And it always has to start with you, which I think that's kind of the journey of realizing that. And I want to know, how did you stay so committed to that at the time, even though you had kind of every reason to just be like, you know what, I'm on this path, I could just keep going, this is what I should be doing. Like, what made you continue to take that risk and stay focused on your ultimate dream?
You mean when I went back to work?
Yeah, either way, like just kind of throughout the process, right? You had the dream, you left the job, you went back to the job, and you still stayed committed to your dream. And I want to point out, so just kind of through that whole process, but I also want to point out, I think a lot of people think they have to like leave their job right away to actually have a business, but I highly recommend, not for everyone, right? It depends on your situation, but I recommend building it while you stay at your job so you can build your belief and build your clientele. So I just think it's really cool to hear about your story, how you left, went back, but you still stayed committed to your dream. You never really just like let it completely fall by the wayside.
Oh no.
What kept you so committed to that? What did you believe? Like, what were you thinking when you had all this doubt and like outside doubt and all of these things happen?
So I was thinking about like how amazing is it that I get to move to California and like build up my dream business there and have a paycheck behind it. Like there were a lot of times where I got frustrated with work and I was feeling like this isn't for me. I don't want to be doing this, but I just went back to that thought of like, okay, this is helping me get to where I want to be. This isn't forever. And I just had to go to a place of gratitude of, appreciating the money that I was making at my job that was supporting me to build up this business that I really wanted to have. And I had made a decision that when I went back, I was going to put in a year. With relocation, they require you 12 months with the company. Otherwise, you have to pay it back. And so I set a date of like when I was going to resign again and take my business full time. And let me tell you, like the pandemic hit. And of course, that was completely unexpected. And I had all these hopes and dreams of meeting all these people right away when I moved and, signing clients. But then March of 2020, the world shut down and I had to figure out how to take my business virtual. And I wasn't expecting to have to do that. And I had to learn how to work with clients virtually and, how to still support them and give them that like near similar in-person experience, except over Zoom. And I just like, I still kept going at it as if that was the only thing supporting me. Like I was committed to posting like 5 days a week minimum. And I was like in people's DMs, which I don't DM people anymore. I stopped doing that, but I was doing whatever it took to like build my business while working so that I could get to a point where I was able to leave the job. And I ended up, I left before, before I replaced my income. Like I didn't replace my income and then leave the job, but I took, I took the necessary steps to like lay out my expenses and budget and all of that to know like how much I needed to be making every month to support myself. So I didn't just like up and quit, like I did the first time, just like willy nilly, like I quit, it's over. Like
Yeah, you had a plan.
There was like some strategy behind it. I had a plan. I knew my numbers. So it was different. But let me tell you, like when I quit the second time, like there wasn't just a magic wand waved where, okay, Chelsea quit her job, like pour in the clients. Like, and that's where the coaching came in, because I had to learn that doing a whole bunch wasn't getting me as far as having the thoughts to support my belief in what I do and why people are batshit crazy for not working with me.
Yeah.
Like that right there was the secret ingredient to having a successful business. Having the thoughts to support my belief in myself and thinking in a way that creates, positive feelings of empowerment and self-belief and confidence to get me to a result of making money in my business. And I feel like I learned that later than if I had learned that earlier, like I would have been making more money faster. But I had to undo all of this conditioning around you have to do, and like, just like run yourself into the ground, doing all this stuff and hustling to create a successful business. Like I had that mentality for well over a year. And then I learned it's not about what you're doing. Like that's a part of it, but what you're thinking is what comes first. And like, if I'm taking empty action and posting on Instagram every day, but I don't believe people should buy from me, like, then nobody's going to buy from me.
Yes. Was that one of the big shifts you made when you joined ABA in the work? Because that's obviously like a huge, that's the foundation of what I teach in starting your coaching business. And I'm very action oriented too. So learning this was such profound work, which is why I teach it, because it's so easy to think it has to be a grind. You have to exhaust yourself. You just have to hustle. There's a lot of that culture out there too, right? Teaching us that. And there's just such a better way to do it. And I think obviously we all find the things we need at the perfect time. And you came in, you know, already having your styling business and adding in coaching. But I think it's so fun to hear that you say that, because ultimately the program's to help people start coaching businesses. And while we have lots of people join who have already started, I love that we lay the foundation of that in such a rock solid way so that people don't start off, you know, for the next 3 years burning themselves out, running themselves into the ground. It's like you're really building it off of beliefs that are going to serve you and build a business that isn't just something that's going to, you can only like keep up with for 6 months. It's something that you can build on over and over and over again for years and years to come and continue to create more impact, more clients, more money without overexerting yourself and, you know, just pushing through it.
Right. Exactly.
So good. So there was one other thing I was going to ask you about with your story. Oh, well, why was this so important? Like there was this like hungriness inside of you, right?
Yeah.
You could have easily just, again, kept on with the same route. What did you have to remember, or like what was the thing that you thought about the most that made this something that you were committed to no matter what?
What had me committed to this? So, I mean, I knew like even when I first started working right out of college, I knew that I wasn't going to be there for long. And I didn't want to work a job that I hated for, 40 years until I finally got to that retirement age and could actually live my life. I wanted to build something for myself. I wanted to have flexibility with my schedule. I wanted freedom to be able to travel when I want and not have to like get permission or worry about not having enough vacation days if I want to go on a trip or, see my family. Like I just wanted freedom. I wanted freedom in my life. I wanted financial freedom. And I had a coach for over a year who is a personal stylist. And, I just saw the life that she's been able to create for herself in building her own business up. And I saw what was possible. And same with you. Like I followed you and I would watch your stories and how you would talk about basically everything I just talked about with like having the freedom and the flexibility when you have your own thing going where you're able to work from anywhere and your income is unlimited and you get to support people and change their lives. Like I knew that was what I wanted. And so, I reminded myself of that. And like, it was a non-negotiable to just keep going and doing what I needed to do to like one thing every day just to move me, along and help me progress up to that ultimate goal of like being free and, just like being able to live my life fully. That was the goal, to just live fully and go down my own path.
Oh, that's so good. The reason why I wanted to hit on that is I think so often, like I call it amnesia. Like I feel like our brains, they want to stay comfortable, right? And so then they just it's almost like amnesia. We like forget why our dream is important. We get caught up in the day to day. And so I'm always curious because there always has to be something that you are so hungry for that you're willing to go through all that discomfort, all of the, like the family not agreeing, the going back to your job and having to deal with that. It's like the desire for the thing you want has to be so much bigger than all of that. And everybody has that, right? They're just not always paying attention to it. And so I always think it's fun to hear like what really drives all of you guys, because that's the same thing for me. I just hit that point too, where I was like, there is nothing scarier, honestly, to me Like anything I have to do, any discomfort I have to go through, there's nothing scarier than sitting at a job that I hate for the rest of my life and wasting away. Like that is the scariest thing I could think of. And so that just pushed me so hard. And it sounds like you were the same way too.
Oh, absolutely. I remember telling my mom, like, I don't want to sleepwalk through my life and do this every day. Like, I cannot imagine having to wake up and do this for the rest of my life. Like, I mean, and not to say that working a 9 to 5 your whole career is bad, but it's just when you know it's not for you, you know, and you really can't get yourself to do it because everything in you is just fighting it. And it's like
screaming. It's like,
yes,
no,
yes,
do it.
Yes. Yeah. So and I remember reading Jen Sincero's book. It was either You're a Badass or You're a Badass at Making Money, where she talks about this. Like when you force yourself to do things that you don't want to do, it feels, I forget how she phrased it, but like, it feels like energy draining. It just sucks everything out of you. And, you don't do your best because you don't want to do it.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. So I think your story is really cool because you had a business before coming into ABA. You were a stylist and then you wanted to add in coaching. But I think what's so cool about it is that you went through, kind of the process ahead of time in a way, right? Obviously, you learned the belief in the change your life portion of the program and bringing that into your business and offering coaching to other people. But you also went through that process of using coaching tools to change your life and get your own results and see that transformation. How did that play a role in you wanting to add in coaching and your belief in your ability, like to help other people?
Ooh, well, I will say that I've never done so much thought work in my life as when I started life coaching with styling, because I am my own client first and foremost. And I have to be willing to look at what's going on in my mind, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that part of it, yes, it's uncomfortable, but it is necessary. And I've just learned that, feeling your feelings it's required in this work. And I hear people knocking life coaches, like my cousin made fun of me for being a life coach and like just saying that I was like scamming people for money. But like people have no idea what life coaches actually do and like how much of like the human brain is like a part of the whole like coaching experience and how everything starts with your thoughts. But with anything but average, with the weekly coaching and the change your life portion, I mean, it's really made me dig deep and see like what thoughts are going through my brain that are holding me back and being willing to look at the ugly stuff. Right?
A lot of courage. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Like people don't realize how much courage it takes to be willing to dig that deep, especially when your brain doesn't want you to, right? Like, I always joke, it would rather watch Netflix all day and do nothing, but that's not where amazing lives are built.
Right.
So it takes so much courage, and it really is like a science of how the brain works and understanding that so that you can change your reality and then go out and help other people do the same. So how has that impact, like you doing your own work, how has that impacted your ability to help other people while adding in coaching into your business?
Yeah. Well, I will say like everything that I deal with my own brain and my own like thoughts that I think about myself, my clients have the same stuff. And I've seen it happen where I'll go through something where I'm looking at what I'm thinking and just like how I'm bullying myself, honestly, because like I think we as humans are our own worst critics, right? And like as a coach, I'm constantly putting myself out there and I have a lot of judgment about myself. And, when I coach my clients and they bring things to me like, being judgmental about themselves and, things they've done or being judgmental about their bodies, like I'm like, yeah, been through that. I know how to help them. So it really does take you being willing to look at your own critical thoughts about yourself and even your thoughts about other people, right? Like
Yeah, it's like you've got your own brain you have your own brain in
yeah.
your own life, and then you also have your
Mhm.
brain when coaching clients, right? And like
Mhm. Mhm.
understanding how to manage that, so you know how to, so
Right.
you can stay out of your own drama and really be neutral and
Yeah.
help them as well.
Yes, exactly, exactly. You have to like take yourself out of the pool so that, you know, you don't want to be in the pool with them and like wallowing. You
Yeah,
both are
you're like,
wallowing
shoot,
in
that
like
does
you're,
suck.
yeah, right.
Instead of helping them get past it.
Right,
That'd
right.
be interesting coaching. Shoot, that does suck. I don't know what you're going to do about that. Oh,
Yeah.
so good. But yeah, when you dig that deep, then you have a deep understanding of where it's coming from, why their brains work the way they work, and how to actually help them. And I think it's so cool that you had that experience before joining ABA, and then ABA kind of took that to the next level and applying that to your clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So, yeah.
you said you joined ABA. I kind of halted your story, and then you signed your first life coaching client. You just added that into your business when you started the program. You've been in what for a few months now? What?
About 5 months.
5 months. Whoa, really? That's insane. I'm like, what month is it? Actually, I got a little ahead of myself. What were you struggling with before you joined the program? Before we get on to where you are now.
Um, okay. When I was, when I announced that I was also going to be doing life coaching, I didn't know like what, I didn't know how to like structure life coaching calls. I didn't really know how to like change up my marketing in a way that was talking about life coaching and styling, because up to that point, I was only talking about changing your outer appearance to make you feel good. But like life coaching is kind of different. Like it's helping you transform yourself, but instead of through clothes, it's through, you know, how you're thinking. And so I just really needed to know, okay, how the hell do I like change it up? Like, you know, I was offering free sessions just because I was a brand new coach and I thought this will be great practice. But to actually bring this piece of my business together and, of course, be able to make money from it, but also like coach people in a way that is effective and where I'm not like, you know, like quote unquote getting in the pool with them, but remaining neutral. I needed some help with that. And, you know, I of course had followed you for a while and I'd seen ABA over and over. And so I thought, okay, this is the perfect next step for me to learn how to mesh the two, life coaching and styling. And, you know, I remember at first when I joined, I had a lot of confusion still around like my niche and exactly like how to package up my services where I was doing both life coaching and styling because it was very separate in my brain. Like I had my styling packages and I had a life coaching package, but like it wasn't like together. It was like I had two different businesses. And so I would come onto the weekly lives like, okay, I need to know how do I like mesh the two together where, you know, I'm not either a life coach or a personal stylist, but I'm both. And, you know, I'm still working out the kinks with that, but it's not so separate in my brain anymore where I'm either a life coach or a personal stylist. So, and there's, you know, I have like a life and style coaching 6-month package where it does include a style transformation and weekly life coaching sessions, but I'm also incorporating the coaching piece in with styling clients who just want me to help them refresh their closets and who have like thoughts about themselves and their bodies that are keeping them from wearing things they actually want to be wearing and feeling confident in their clothes, right? Because I mean, I don't think I've had a single client who hasn't struggled with like some type of body insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And, through ABA, like I've learned, first of all, I don't always have to have the answer. Like sometimes it's
Yes.
just about letting people be where they are.
So
Like
good.
I don't have to preach to people to love their bodies so that they can love their style. Like it's not really, people don't really need that. I mean, sometimes people just need someone to listen.
So true. So
Yeah.
it's so good though, because it's everything is so interconnected. And it sounds like what I think you're such a good example of is you're still figuring it out. I think so often people think like you're going to like just be there and you're going to be done. And like you've got it all figured out, but it's like starting a coaching business or adding it into your current business. It's like an evolution. You're always going to be learning. You're always going to be growing. But what's important is that you don't let it stop you from going out, serving people, adding value, signing clients, that you keep allowing it to evolve with you. So I think that you're such a good example of that. You're like, of course you're still figuring out. Just like as humans, we're always a work in process. Like I just wrote a post about that. It hasn't gone out yet, but that we can't expect like we're going to be done. We're going to be complete. We're going to be perfection. And then we go out and coach people, just like we can't expect our business is going to be like perfect and seamless and make all of the sense. We've got to like, it's got to be messy. We're going to be learning. We're going to be growing, but it doesn't have to keep you from going out and serving people, signing clients, changing their lives. And you're such a good example of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So
it really is an evolution.
It is. It's forever. I know for a while, we all get it stuck in our head. We're like, we're going to get there and it's going to be fine.
Right.
We're going to feel these things again, but it's not true.
Yeah.
It's forever work, which is so fulfilling.
Yeah.
Okay. So you came to ABA, you were a little confused. You talked about this a little earlier. You were like still lacking some belief in the value you had to offer. You felt like you had to hustle a lot to get it out there. Where are you now? You've been in the program for 5 months.
Yeah.
What's different about you, your business, and the results you're creating?
Oh my gosh. So much is different. I'm conscious of like when I'm taking action from a place of need, like, okay, I need to sign clients. I need to make money. Like I am so conscious of that. And sometimes I just won't even do anything. I'll just sit with that mentality and I'll journal about it. And, when I'm able to change my thoughts around the action and what I'm doing, then I take action from a place of service. But I've signed like 9 new clients since joining Anything But Average, which is amazing. And I've made about, I think it's $13,000 in my business.
Good. And you had, I think I remember you posting you had your biggest month ever. It was $7,000 in 1 month.
Yep. That was April. That was the month I went home. I went home for 3 weeks to be with my family. And that was my biggest revenue month. And that was the month that I was the most relaxed.
And you worked the least, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That is truly like, that's such a good example of how the process works when you change the way you think, show up differently, add value to the world. It's like you are creating results all of the time without having to be the person who grinds it out. So I love that. Like that is So if someone would have told you a year ago that is the result you had and you're like life coaching people and helping people with style, what would you have thought then? Made $7,000 a month,
my gosh.
like signed 9 clients.
Well, part of me is like, I would be like, well, it's about time because I wanted to be at like 10K months last year, but of course I wasn't doing this work in my belief in myself. And so that was, creating the result that I had, but I would feel like this was so worth it. Like all of the discomfort and, just like putting myself out there, right? Because that was so uncomfortable. When I started going on video, like last year, I started going on video consistently, and I thought, this is like, I hate this. Like people don't care what I have to say. Like I had all these thoughts about that people didn't care, and
that's a common thought. Like when people get started, like who cares about this? Like
right?
are they gonna listen
And I didn't
to me?
have yeah, and I didn't have much evidence that people cared. I would, see people watch my story, but it felt like people were just kind of like skipping through, and I don't pay attention to that anymore. Like I have built up my belief, and of course it's come with this evidence that I have from signing clients and working with people and making all this money, but I have just built up this belief that people need and want what I have, and that there are women out there who maybe have followed me for 2 months, or maybe they followed me for an entire year, but they are like at a tipping point where they are so over like not looking how they want to, and they want to work with me.
That is so good. And the thing is, you build the belief comes first, and that's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
You have to trust in that stuff before you have total evidence. But then the more you trust in it, the more you show up with that as the energy behind it, the more results you create. And now you have all this evidence. So, so good. I think that's a huge thing. And I'll probably do another podcast on this, but it's so easy to focus on all the wrong people, right? The people who are clicking through your story and they're not like, they don't care. They're not your ideal client. It's just so easy to get stuck in that instead of focusing on the 9 people who you don't even know are watching you, who need your help. I mean, I didn't know you were watching me for a whole year, right? Like, it's like, that's always happening. And it's about building your belief in that over the other side of it. That's not going to serve you to show up and help people. So good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did it feel when you took the step to join ABA? Because you were like, I wasn't even on my radar. And then all of a sudden I was like, I have to do it. How did you feel the moment you like hit enroll and you joined the program?
Oh my gosh. It was so exciting. I was like, okay, finally, because I had seen all the promotion around it, and I wasn't coaching, quote unquote coaching before, but when I added life coaching in, I was like, this is perfect because she's teaching me how to become a life coach or a coach, because there's other coaches in ABA besides life coaches, but I was just so excited, and I was just filled with possibility. I remember posting my intro in the Facebook group and saying that I was new and talking about how, like, I think my tipping point was like when I saw your post about your Benz and like just how you've been able to build up this business and like, have this dream car. And I was just like kind of envisioning like, okay, like I'm joining in January. Like imagine where I could be by December. Like I could like help so many people, and like, people need this. Like I was so adamant about that because life coaching changed my life. And I just thought like, I mean, imagine all the money I'm going to make, with this $2,000 investment. Like that was
you
like
already what is that, a 700% return? So fun. And we like you get lifetime access, so I can't wait to see you buy your Benz and you post it in the group, and it's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, I thought like it just felt so right. And that weekend I went to this resort for a night because that was MLK weekend. So Sunday night I went to this resort, and that was kind of like my celebration of joining and just all the possibility that 2021 had. And I remember waking up the next morning and hopping on all excited for my first Facebook live coaching call. I was like, it just felt so right. And like, I say it wasn't on my radar, but like subconsciously it was.
Yes. That's a good way to explain it. It's like they're floating around in the back of your mind, and love it. So what would you say to somebody who is either on the fence, like when you think about yourself at the beginning of your journey and you were thinking about starting, a business, and like they're on the fence of joining ABA to get started in their coaching business, or maybe they're like you and they have a business, they want to add in coaching, they're sitting on the fence, they have it in the back of their mind. Like, what would you say to someone who's in that place?
So I know that like investing in yourself can feel scary because you're like, well, what if I don't get XYZ result? But when you're committed, you can only go up. So I would say to someone who's on the fence, like, go back to your why. Like, why are you so like, why are you so fucking passionate about starting this business or adding this to your business? Like, what will it bring you? What kind of impact will you be able to have on people? And like, what do you want? What do you want this coaching to bring you? And just show up with the expectation that all of that is possible and that this coaching is going to help you move forward. Because like, I remember my first coaching investment, like it was $2,000. And for me at that time was a lot of money. But, I've kind of like developed this growth muscle of investing in lots of different aspects of my business beyond coaching. And so it gets easier. But like, I know this feels like, you're signing your life away, but honestly, like you can't go wrong investing in anything but average. And when you're committed, you will see results instantly.
That's so good. Because that is one of the biggest things people do with any investment they make, right? They spend all their time thinking about what could go wrong, which is essentially why they haven't taken the steps they need in order to change their life. It's like the only choice is to take like the risk and go all in on yourself to get the tools and the coaching you need so you get out of your way to get the outcome you want, and remembering why that's really important will get you through any of that fear and doubt.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, when you invest at this level for the very first time, it's less about the decision, but more about like who you become with this decision. It's like saying yes to a future version of you that you are dying to become.
I have chills. So good. Okay. So, and it's exactly what you like with style too, right? It's like you have to believe that you, like for the woman you want to be, what you put on your body, dressing as her, feeling the way she feels. It's so good.
Yeah.
So for all the people listening and they're like, I love this girl, how do they follow you? How do they find you? How can they connect with you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Chelsea Wright Stylist. I have a website, chelseawrightstylist.com. And I'm also on Facebook, Chelsea Wright. So definitely hit me up on Insta. Like if there's any questions or you want to connect there, I'm on there like all the time. So
love it.
Insta is my jam.
So good. We will put all of those links in the show notes so you guys can find that there and connect with her. Shoot her a message. Tell her what you took away from it. And Chelsea, it has been such an honor and so fun to coach you and watch you thrive. And thank you so much for being on today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for saying that.
For all of you guys listening, I will see you next week. If you are ready to take that step, go all in on starting your coaching business, go to lindsaymangocoaching.com/anythingbutaverage, and I will see you on the inside. Bye. If you're ready to take this work deeper and create your own coaching business, join us in Anything But Average, where I will walk you through the step-by-step process to become a coach, start your coaching business, and start signing clients. Go to lindsaymangocoaching.com/anythingbutaverage, and I will see you on the inside.